All right. So with Thanksgiving right around the corner and Christmas, I thought I would share with you real quick a take on pumpkin pie that leads you a little more towards your higher protein desserts rather than loaded with sugar. So, one thing you can always think when somebody's going around like, who's making what for Thanksgiving? Instead of saying, oh, I'll bring the potatoes or the stuffing, be like, I'll bring dessert. Because that way, you can manage your dinner with what's there, right? Protein, your veggies, but how do you manage dessert? And if you bring your take on a dessert, then you at least have one thing on that table that's going to be high protein that you're going to be able to go and grab, and it's going to be super yummy. Just side note, people actually gravitate towards it, so make sure you kind of get there first or pull a piece off to the side for later. So you still get a piece. So what we're going to make, they are pumpkin or protein pumpkin cheesecake bars. You can put them in bar pans. I'm just going to put them in an 8x8, just easier storage. So there's two ways that you can actually do the crust. So you can do this as a no bake crust where it's just almond flour, cinnamon, protein powder, and some Greek yogurt. I'm going to actually bake my crust, so I'm going to throw an egg in there too. I find it hardens up a little bit more, so you can kind of pick it up if you want, if you actually make it in the bar molds. It's a little easier to pick up, it doesn't break as much. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start with 1 cup of almond flour, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1/3 cup of protein powder, and 1/2 cup of Greek yogurt. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to get this stuff all mixed in here. I am putting it in my food processor because it's easier to blend than to try to do it by hand, I have found. Um, and that beeping that you heard was me preheating the oven to 350. So we're going to start with 1 cup of almond flour. We are going to put 1 cup. I am doing plain Greek yogurt. You can do vanilla Greek yogurt if you'd like. That is entirely up to you. And then, super prepared for this video. Can you tell? Oop, that is chocolate. That is not what we're looking for. This is what we're looking for. 1/3 of protein powder and 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Now, what makes this is kind of next level is if you happen to have a cinnamon protein powder, that definitely helps the cinnamon taste of it. And then, but I don't have any. So then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and, ooh, egg. We forgot the egg. This is what happens when I try to do things on the fly, on the spur of the moment. I don't have everything ready. All right. So we have our mixture. We are going to line this with some parchment paper. And yes, getting the parchment paper wet makes it lay down and it's so much nicer. And then we're just going to give it a quick spritz just in case you don't want stickies. And then we're going to go ahead and dump this in. A little almond flour stuck in the bottom of the knife there. And yes, my kitchen, my rules, I can use my fingers. My grandmother always called these God's mixing spoons. So it's totally okay for us to use them. All right, so we're gonna pop this into the oven about 10 minutes or so. You just have to kind of keep an eye on it when it looks like it's baked up enough to be a crust. Okay, so now this is a layer project. It is a pumpkin layer, and then it is a cheesecake layer. So we're gonna go ahead and do the pumpkin layer first because I definitely just took my cream cheese out of the refrigerator. So we're gonna let that warm up for a little bit. So we're gonna start with pumpkin puree, whole can, so 15 ounces. And we need some Fairlife. I told you, hugely unprepared for this video. Okay, and ironically enough, I do not have pumpkin pie seasoning, the pumpkin pie spice, so I'm going to use allspice. It's basically the same thing. At least I think so. I could be completely wrong, but I'm totally okay putting allspice in it. I think it tastes just as good. So we are going to do 2 teaspoons of this and 1 box of sugar-free pudding. Yes, this is my go-to. If you watch any of my videos, you know this goes in everything. But the really nice thing about the pudding mix is, especially if you're using it in cookies or muffins or anything like that, it just adds a layer of softness to it, which is really awesome. And then we are going to do, you guessed it, a scoop of protein powder. I know, you never saw that coming, right? So we're going to throw a scoop of that in there. And just for a little sweetness. Right, we're going to give it a good old mix. I guess we probably could have put this in the food processor too. I'm just so used to doing most stuff by hand that I don't think about it. Okay, so there is our pumpkin layer. And now we are going to get into the, guessed it, cream cheese layer. All right, so for this layer, you're going to need cream cheese. You can either use full fat, 1/3 fat, or fat free. We are going to use 1/3 fat today because the Walmart I went to did not have fat free, which I actually prefer, but that's me. Okay, so kitchen's a mess. Where did I put cream cheese? Found it. All right, so we're going to do 8 ounces of this, so an entire block. And then we are going to do some protein powder and some Greek yogurt. Again, the Greek yogurt you can do plain or you can do vanilla. That is entirely up to you. Brand does not matter. They will all work. All right, so we want 1/3 cup of our yogurt. And we're going to do a 1/2 cup of our protein powder, which actually works out to be 1 scoop. So fun fact. All right, so this probably would go a little easier with a mixer, but I don't want to get it out. So we're just going to work away at this because I got a little bit of time. So I'm going to work away at mashing at this. I will be back once our crust is done and cooled, and I will show you how to assemble and how amazing this looks for your holiday table. Okay, so crust is done. Crust is out. I did take it out of the parchment paper and just put it in the pan here. So you can see it's a little brown on the bottom. Perfect, perfect crust consistency. So we are going to start with our very well-earned cheesecake topping. So we're just going to say this was an arm workout of mixing this by hand. So I did let this crust cool for a little bit, just so it wasn't piping hot when we were trying to put this on. So we are going to, yes, I am using my fingers again, and that is okay. We're going to put a nice thick layer of our cream cheese on. And yes, it's my kitchen. I can lick my fingers. All right. So cream cheese layer in. And then we have our pumpkin layer. So I probably could have gotten this spread out into a 9x13 because it is pretty thick as far as the base layer goes. And then these would be much thinner bars. So it's probably what I'll do next time because these are These are very thick. These are going to have to be itty bitty pieces, but still so yummy. Because what happened with the crust is it honestly did not look that thick when I had put it in, but it about doubled in size when it baked. So that's kind of what happened there. Again, I have to taste test. Now here's $1 million question. How do you record those in MyFitnessPal? Finger scoop here, finger scoop there. It's a good question. All right, so let's see. I can get this. It's not quite set, but we're going to cut it anyway. So ideally, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and throw this in the fridge, let it kind of solidify up a little bit. But I want to show you what it looks like. All right. So, see if I can show you all the layers here. So you can see that cheesecake or the crust layer got pretty thick, and then you got your cheesecake, and then you got your pumpkin. I will have a picture at the end of what this looks like a little better than this. But this is a great way to enjoy the pumpkin pie with a protein crust, protein cheesecake layer, and your protein pumpkin layer. So, recipe at the end, as always. If you have questions, please let me know. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to finish my dessert with my cup of coffee. Yes, I am a Yellowstone fan. Yes, one of my sales reps did nickname me Beth because he never knows what I'm going to do. So I fully embrace Yellowstone. So y'all have a great evening. Let me know if you need help with this recipe, but I really hope you enjoyed this holiday season, and I hope you all have a wonderful and happy Thanksgiving.